trending topics. Thanks for being here, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for being here. Let's talk about it, Media 21. Allow me a few seconds to get into my system. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk About It Media 21. Like, comment, and subscribe. I hope everyone's having a great Friday. I'm off to kind of a late start. I kind of overslept, but that's okay. So normally I'm gone by now, but since I overslept, I had to come on live and take care of what I had to take care of. Today we're going straight hot topics, trending topics. So come on in, like the video. Thanks for being here. I'm a little heated about this Shador Sanders situation. NFL, do we have a problem? Real talk. Okay, so allow me a few minutes. I was hot. I was one of those people that sat up for hours waiting for him to get drafted. So let's go ahead and get into the hot topics, trending topics. Then we're going to get straight into this. Um, all comments are alleged, period. Please like, comment, and subscribe, period. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships, and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged, in our opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Thanks for being here, everyone. Thank you. We're going to get straight into the topics this morning. And we're going to talk Target. We're going to talk NFL, Shador Sanders. And we're going to get straight into it. So like the videos you guys come in. I appreciate everyone for being here. I appreciate everyone for subscribing and commenting. When you come in, make sure you like and subscribe and hit the make any comments you like. Just be kind in the comments. So let's get straight into the Target situation. Thank you.
Calls if they would just do right by humanity.
Pastor Bryant, thank you for your time today. Out front in his first national interview since the big Target news today is Pastor Jamal Bryant. Pastor, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
What role do you think your boycott played in the CEO's decision to step aside now?
This was the most significant boycott of black people since the Montgomery bus boycott 70 years ago. The stock market stumbled from $145 a share to $93 a share. They lost $12 billion in valuation. The CEO's salary was cut by 42%. Foot traffic was down by 7.9%. So I would say it would be a Herculean part of what happened in the downfall.
Cornell will stay on now as Target's executive chairman, and the new CEO is a 22-year veteran employee of the company, started there as an intern, and I'm wondering what you think that means for the direction this company heads now. Do you think the new CEO is going to change company culture or steer the company in a different direction?
I think we're looking at the moving of peanut shells in Central Park. There's really nothing different about the ideology or their stance on DEI. It's really smoke and mirrors. I am anxious and zealous to see if the new CEO will be open to a meeting so that we can discuss what are the four things that we're asking for. But just moving the COO to the CEO is really stylish, but it has no substance.
Does your boycott continue with this news?
Oh, no, we are full steam ahead until those four things that we've asked for. Black people spend upwards of $12 million a day. So we've asked for $250 million to be deposited in the black banks. We've asked for them to show record of the $2 billion they pledged to invest in the black communities, to partner with 6 HBCUs. And we gave them a blank canvas to reimagine DEI. None of which have they produced. And so, yes, we're staying away from Target until they step up to the plate.
If you could talk to the new Target CEO today, what would you say?
I would say to them that it pays to give dignity where people are giving dollars. Is that what we're looking for is not a favor, but to do business. We're coming, and we've not led any protest or march, but it's really been a sojourn of spirituality and social justice, compelling to their higher selves to make the right decision. And by them losing almost 20% of their stock today with the change, it'd be less expensive and a less cost if they would just do right by humanity.
Pastor Bryant, thank you for your time today. Out front in his first national interview since the big Target news.
That's huge. They've lost a lot of money, and he knows the numbers. Like the videos, y'all come in.
Your boycott played in the CEO's decision to step aside now.
This was the most significant boycott of black people since the Montgomery bus boycott 70 years ago. The stock market stumbled from $145 a share to $93 a share. They lost $12 billion in valuation. The CEO's salary was cut by 42%. Foot traffic was down by 7.9%. So I would say it would be a Herculean part of what happened in the downfall.
Cornell will stay on now as Target's...
That's huge. That's huge. He knows the numbers. Will they do right by the community? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. That's huge.
The CEO position after leading the retail giant for the last 11 years. The company's current COO is going to be taking on that top job. That stock down by about 9.6% this morning. The company also announcing earnings this morning that were a little better than had been expected. But joining us right now to talk about all of it is former PVH chairman and CEO Manny Chirico. He's now LNK partner and BCI Brands chairman. And Manny, you've been in this business for a long time. What do you think about the stock reaction this morning to this news?
Well, I think the stock is reacting less to the earnings, which were, I'll use the word non-event. They delivered what they said, probably did a little bit better. But I think the focus is on the CEO succession plan. I think, when Target is successful, I think they lead with product design and innovation. And going with a very traditional CEO succession plan, Brian staying on as executive chair, bringing in the former CFO, COO to run the business, who's really not a merchant. I think the market was probably looking for something a little bit more bold that would take them more with a merchant prince kind of CEO coming in, or at least with more support under that. So I think that's the reaction. It's unfortunate because I think if you really dig into the numbers, there's some positives going on at Target. I think the inventory looks like it's back under some level of control, better position than it's been. But I think the challenge really is, although the results were slightly better than planned, they're more of a continuation of what we've been seeing. And with the second half, where I think you're going to see more margin pressure, I think the market is really questioning whether they can deliver anywhere near the midpoint, the top end of their guidance. And I think they're pricing the company at the low end or below what their guidance is right now.
Okay, so let's get to more topics, y'all. Got to get to more topics. Like the videos, y'all come in.
The NFL. And I'll tell you this much here, what I heard from someone that's in the NFL, that the NFL told other, don't draft him, do not draft him. We're gonna make an example out of him. And this came from a very good source. And he said that, I won't say who, somebody called the Cleveland Browns and said, don't do that. Draft
Really?
him. Yep, draft him. Don't do that. Because they weren't gonna draft him either. They weren't gonna draft him. And I'll tell you what I heard from someone that's in the NFL, that the NFL told other, don't draft him, do not draft him. We're gonna make an example out of him. And this came from a very good source. And he said that, I won't say who, somebody called the Cleveland Browns and said, don't do that. Draft him. Yep, draft him. Don't do that. Because they weren't gonna draft him either. They weren't gonna draft him. And I'll tell you this much.
Okay, I don't know about y'all, but I was one of the ones that watched hours and hours and hours of feed waiting for this young man to get drafted. And to find out they had made a call not to draft him. NFL, do we have a problem again? And while I say that, we have the Colin Kaepernick situation in regards to what Colin did. And then we also have the situation in regards to Colin trying to put out a film or a documentary with him and Spike Lee, and that documentary has been halted. I say to the NFL, do we have a problem? So I'm wondering if Shador Sanders will file a lawsuit. Let me know in the comments, do you feel that he should? And knowing all of them were told, don't draft. And the Browns were told, don't do that. Should he sue? Let me know in the comments. Should his family sue? Should he sue? The embarrassment that it cost that family. There can't be anything that he's done that's worthy of that. And then, I'm talking hours. I watched hours. And then he had number 2, and they changed his jersey from 2 to 12. Who's an embarrassment? Let me know in the comments, Eric. But to stifle a young man's career, I just don't think it's fair. I don't care if he was confident, cocky. I don't care. It should not be that NFL can affect somebody's career like that and not draft him when other people we saw bypass Shador Sanders. Am I heated? Yes, I am. I don't think I've been this heated for a minute. Let me know in the comments, Eric, who's an embarrassment? I'm talking hours. If I tell you the hours that me and a friend sat up and talked while my boo, my bae was at work, there's no way. We had already had the Colin Kaepernick situation and people stopped watching football. They did. They stopped watching it because of this type of stuff. As a culture, people should be mad. People should be furious. People should be upset. We noticed it though. Him not getting drafted, 1. Other players that's not as successful as him getting drafted, 2. Him dropping down to whatever number it was in the 5th round. Craziness. And then them changing his number. And I know there was interviews. Who's to say that those people weren't asked certain questions to ask him and make him seem a way? If you avoided drafting him, to say it wasn't in those people's ears to ask questions where they might make it feel like he's cocky, it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
What I heard from someone
Unacceptable.
That the NFL told other, don't draft him, do not draft him. We're gonna make an example out of him. And this came from a very good source, and he said that, I won't say who, somebody called the Cleveland Browns and said, don't do that. Draft him. Yep, draft him. Don't do that. Because they weren't going to draft him either. They weren't going to draft him. They were forced into drafting him because somebody made a call to them, said, you know. And I say, when I say this is a NFL side source for sure, you know. So this is not here. So look, one thing about it is, and I'll just say it, you know, they don't like when guys have brands, especially black players. You know, and that's mostly us with the brand. You know, some guys are flashy and all that kind of stuff. They don't like that. This kid, Fred, I don't think you knew this. He had already made $17 million.
Hello.
From a card. And I'll tell you this much here, what I heard from someone.
So I don't know if Eric was saying Shador or the NFL, because this is the wrong page to talk about Shador Sanders. This is the wrong page. I'm wondering if he will file a lawsuit now that someone has spoke up. We felt this. We felt that this is what they were doing. We felt it. For him not to be within the top 1 or 2, maybe even 3 picks, we knew something was up. I am heated. I don't get mad much. I'm livid. If I was his family, but see, you know, Deion Sanders is the man of positivity moving forward. We still gonna get our blessings. That's Deion. Now us other people are like, no. Deion Sanders handled this whole situation as a father extremely well. I would have been livid as a father, but baby, and see, this is the biggest thing. Deion Sanders had an amazing career. So why would you fault this young man and try and make an example of him? And see, that's the other thing. Many people were saying, oh, he's going to start as the quarterback for the Browns. Oh, now they're saying he might not start as the quarterback. So who's to say, allegedly, because I don't know. If that really happened, we saw it happen. People that had the same caliber as Deion Sanders' son, Shador Sanders, they got picked over him. And this is the biggest thing. That's the other thing me and my friends talk about. We are so glad that college students can make a living and collect some kind of money, or they can get money, because that's the biggest thing. These college schools and high schools make so much money off them. And I'm so glad that they make money now, however they need to, or YouTube page, streaming live. However, the jersey, his jersey number 2 was selling so well. And then for them to switch his number to 12 is crazy talk. It's crazy talk. That's crazy talk. You're happy they made an example of him? You gotta go, bro. That's not acceptable. Someone working so hard on their craft, and to make an example of him, to embarrass him and his career, is unacceptable. You should not want that for anybody. You should not want that for anybody. Whether you don't like, nobody ever should be ever being made an example of and mess up and embarrass them all around the world. For the NFL draft, have you ever heard somebody being embarrassed like that and made an example of? That's a huge concern. That's a huge concern. And we've already had problems and concerns with the NFL. This is number 2 that I know of, and I'm a girl. And I'm a girl. This is unacceptable. So let's continue to get to videos. I'm livid.
A car deal. Yes, 17 million already for that.
I can't wait to call my friend. I know they at work, so.
That he already signed. A car deal. Yes, 17 million already for that. He had another 14, I think, from a was it a shoe, Nike or some shoe deal. So he was good with money wise, but I know he wants to play in the National Football League for sure.
So how does he do that? I mean, Cleveland picked him. I find it fascinating, Eric. You're saying somebody even called the Browns and said, don't do that.
Yeah, somebody called the Browns.
So what was the objective? He doesn't get picked. He's an undrafted free agent.
That's exactly what's going to happen. They were going to have him, he was not going to get drafted, to basically show you this is what happens when you do this. I mean, look, the NFL got all kind of power. They do all kind of stuff. You know that, and I know it too. But no, they were not going to draft him. And like I said, when I said it came from a good source, it came from a very, very good source. They were going to draft him. I like it. Because when I saw it, when he went to the second round, I said, oh, I said it out loud. They're not going to draft him. They're going to make an example out of him.
See?
I knew it. Deal that he already signed. A car deal. Yes, 17 million already for that. He had another 14, I think, from a and I'll tell you this much here, what deal.
And many people knew something was up when he didn't get picked in the first round. That's a huge problem. NFL, we have a huge problem.
So the guy that they drafted, the quarterback they drafted ahead of him, he wasn't as good as Shador. He even said it.
See?
I mean, how do you draft a guy that you know that's not better than the guy that you drafted after? That don't even make sense.
Do you think Shador knew they wanted to make an example out of him?
I don't think he realized to the extent that the NFL would go to make an example out of him. No, I don't think he knew that. I don't think his dad knew the extent that they would go to make an example out of him. I mean,
that's sad.
So the guy that they drafted, the quarterback they drafted ahead of him, he wasn't as good as Shador. He even said it.
Next clip.
How do you draft him? Don't do that. Because they weren't going to draft him either. They weren't going to draft him.
Your thoughts, Albert?
I'm livid.
Yeah, I always think these sorts of conspiracies are a little overdone. I don't think there was any conspiracy here. I think it's relatively simple what happened. I think the great majority of NFL teams did not view him as a first-round prospect, contrary to what had been out there for the year previous. And then I think what happens is once you get past the first round, you look at the history over the years, not a lot of quarterbacks go in the second or third rounds. It's just the reality of it, like that most teams look at it like if there's a guy who's going to be our long-term answer at the position, we just take him in the first round. And if a guy's not going to be your long-term answer at the position, then you probably in the second or third round because you're going to be looking for a long-term answer at another position with those picks. So the fate of Shador Sanders, like I
draft him. Don't do that because they weren't going to draft him either.
And then you better believe there's going to be podcasters, YouTubers that's going to say they made the right decision. No, they did not. They wanted to make an example of him. There's going to be people that's going to say they did the right thing. No, they did not. Because this is the biggest thing. If it was your child, you would not want somebody to make an example of your child. It's unacceptable to treat someone like that, a young adult, going into his career. And he has to think about this and think about it. What that did to him that day. No parent wants that. I don't care if you don't like their father, if you don't like, what was maybe said in an interview or how he carries himself or, he has a lot of money. It doesn't matter. And we're going to have so many podcasters, so many YouTubers. Some are going to be in support of what the NFL did. Not acceptable. Not acceptable. Because you wouldn't want your child to be affected like that. The beginning of their career, not acceptable.
Fell out of the first round for football reasons. I think he kept falling for everything else, right? Like for the fact that most coaches look at their backup quarterbacks and say, I want you to blend in with the furniture. I don't want to notice that you're even here. That's the way, for better or worse, most teams approach the quarterback position, which I think to some degree short-circuited the careers of guys like Tim Tebow and Colin Kaepernick. So I like Shador's case was complicated going into the draft, but I don't think it was that complicated where there was some sort of weird conspiracy to keep him out of the league.
See?
Yeah, from what I was told by a source, he didn't interview well. He kind of came in and he was interviewing teams instead of the other way around.
Right.
And you're right, he didn't have first-round talent. There was nothing exceptional about him except for maybe his toughness and his pedigree. But I can't imagine all of these owners getting together. And
I think he fell out of the first round for football reasons.
BS. I told y'all there's going to be a narrative that's going to be put out there. Oh, he didn't interview well. Okay, so let's talk about the other people's interviews. Did they interview well? They're still wanting to shade him, embarrass him, and make it look away that what they did was okay. So all these podcasters, these YouTubers, if they go on and say it's acceptable, okay, be careful, because that same stuff could happen to your child the year after that. That's ridiculous. Next clip.
saying, hey, everybody, listen, don't draft Shador Sanders. Do I think the Browns... Yeah,
especially when there's somebody with the bullhorn that Dion has on the other side of it. You know what I mean? That seems like ridiculous. That seems like the wrong tree to bark up, doesn't it, Dan?
Yeah, it does. We're talking to Albert Breer, the Monday morning quarterback. I saw where the U.S. ambassador to the United Kingdom is lobbying for London to get the Super Bowl at some point. Somebody saying, hey, everybody.
Move on. They moved on real quick. I'm wondering if Dion's going to respond. I'm wondering if Dora's going to respond. I'm wondering if they're just going to let their lawyers handle it. Because now, legally, allegedly, you have somebody that's stating that they did this on purpose to embarrass and make an example out of him. Who has authority to make that call? They need to find that out too. Who put out that call? Did they send text messages? Did they send emails? Was it a private message? He needs to find out who made that call. And then to find out, allegedly, they called the Browns to say, don't do that. Allegedly, they called the Browns when they were about to draft him, and it was said, don't do that. Okay, Eric says we all had a feeling and a sense that this is what was going on. Now, if y'all did not know, there was a fan that sued for $100 million. Good for him. For emotional distress. I'm emotionally distressed too. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. When I tell you I watched this draft for hours and hours and hours, I kid you not. Yeah. Interesting. And remember that coach had got fined because his kid called Shador. So that was messy too. Y'all remember when Shador thought he was getting a call from the NFL and it was some kid that took his father's phone who was a coach? And there was a prank. That was unacceptable too. There was a lot of stuff that happened around this time. Man, this is messy. This is messy, 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 and I don't like it. I don't like it.
I'll tell you this much here, what I heard from someone that's in the NFL, that the NFL told other, don't draft him, do not draft him. We're gonna make an example out of him. And this came from a very good source, And he said that, I won't say who, somebody called the Cleveland Browns and said, don't do that. Draft
Really?
him. Yep, draft him. Don't do that. Because they weren't gonna draft him either. They weren't gonna draft him. They were forced into drafting him because somebody made a call to them, said, you know, and I said, when I say this is a NFL side source for sure, you know, so this is not here. So look, one thing about it is, and I'll just say it, you know, they don't like when guys have brands, especially black players, you know, and that's mostly us with the brand, you know, we kind of, some guys are flashy and all that kind of stuff. They don't like that. This kid, Fred, I don't think you knew this. He had already made $17 million from a card. And I'll tell you this much here, what I heard from someone that's in that deal that he already signed. A card deal. He had $17 million already for that. Then he had another 14, I think, from a was it shoe, Nike or some shoe deal. So he was good with money wise, but I know he wants to play in the National Football League for sure.
So how does he do that? I mean, Cleveland picked him. I find it fascinating, Eric. You're saying somebody even called the Browns and said, don't do that.
Yeah, somebody called the Browns and said,
so what was the objective? He doesn't get picked? He's an undrafted free agent?
That's exactly what's going to happen. They were going to have him, he was not going to get drafted, to basically show you this is what happens when you do this. I mean, look, you know, McFred, the NFL got kind of power. They do all kind of stuff. You know, you know that, and I know it too. But no, they were not going to draft him. And like I said, when I said it came from a good source, it came from a very, very good source. They were going to draft him. I like it. Because when I saw it, when he went to the second round, I said, oh, I said it out loud. They're not going to draft him. They're going to make an example out of him. I knew it.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hard deal. He had $17 million already for that. Then he had another 14 from a was it?
Good morning.
So the guy that they drafted, the quarterback they drafted ahead of him, he wasn't as good as Shador. He even said it. I mean, how do you draft a guy that you know that's not better than the guy that you drafted after? That don't even make sense.
Do you think Shador knew they wanted to make an example out of him?
I don't think he realized to the extent that the NFL would go to make an example out of him. No, I don't think he knew that. I don't think his dad knew the extent that they would go to make an example out of him. I mean,
unacceptable.
So the guy that they drafted, the quarterback they drafted ahead of him, he wasn't as good as Shador. He drafted him. Don't do that. Because they weren't going to draft him either. They weren't going to draft him.
Unacceptable.
Your thoughts, Albert?
Yeah, I always think these sorts of conspiracies are a little overdone. I don't think there was any conspiracy here. I think it's relatively simple what happened. I think the great majority of NFL teams did not view him as a first-round prospect, contrary to what had been out there for the year previous. And then I think what happens is once you get past the first round.
And then, see, many people will say, well, his dad was a coach. His dad coached him into everything that he needed to do. And, other kids didn't have that specialty of what the dad could bring. And how are we to know that he can bring that same energy without his father's say so? BS. I'm livid. I don't think y'all could tell. This is not normally me. I'm not normally mad. I'm not normally livid. This is unacceptable. I think this is a race concern. I think this is a personality concern because bet money, anybody that's in that NFL that made that call not to draft him, they would not want anything to happen to their children, their grandchildren, their daughters, their sons. Let's add it. The daughters, their sons, they wouldn't want anybody playing with their kids like that. I'm wondering if Deion's going to make a statement. We'll get to some Trump stuff. If you guys did not know, the Mendez parole has been denied. Eric Mendez denied parole after spending 36 years behind bar for what they did to their parents. Okay, let's get to the Lil Nas X stuff. This is really concerning. Prayers go out to Lil Nas X. Many people have been talking about how he's been acting for a little while, which a lot of people have been concerned about how he's been acting. Prayers go out to him because everybody knows somebody that has some concerns with stuff. Oh, I should go back to the NFL thing. We'll do the Lil Nas X and then I'll go back to the Deion Sanders and Shador Sanders.
Taken to hospital after wandering the streets of LA in his underwear. LA police, who were called at 5:30 local time on Thursday, say the singer charged at them when they arrived and was arrested on suspicion of battery. He was then taken to hospital for treatment for a possible overdose, they said. We'll link the full story below. An unverified video posted by TMZ showed him dancing in the street in underwear and cowboy boots and inviting people passing by to come to the party. His team haven't commented yet. Lil Nas X has been arrested and taken.
So I'm wondering, we saw him walking the streets. How did he overdose though? If he's walking the streets, did he go to a location and then they went to the house and found?
Lil Nas X has been arrested and charged as he was dragged away in handcuffs wearing nothing but his underwear. Crowds swarmed the streets, filming the shocking arrest as police swarmed in. Fans are stunned. Was this a publicity stunt spiraling out of control, or a shocking downfall caught on camera?
And
Lil Nas X has been arrested and charged.
Many people are saying it was not a it definitely wasn't a PR stunt.
No, hey. We'll be late to the party tonight. Where at? You know where it's at. Go ahead, babe. No. Go ahead, babe. No. Didn't I tell you to put the phone down? Uh-oh, somebody's going to have to pay for that. Hey, boy, everybody coming to the party. Yes, I am serving you. And you better be at that party tonight. Oh, yes. Yes. Now. Yes, see my good side. Every side. Yes. Boom, cat, towel. No, hey.
So if he's not known for this, I'm wondering if something was allegedly slipped in his drink. You know, they say some of his videos on Instagram are interesting. They say, we've been concerned for a while. If the friend was filming it, I guess the friend had to stay nearby. It's a good thing he didn't leave him, but what did he take? These celebrities, my goodness, you get a high status and there's concerns. High status and there's concerns.
Late to the party tonight. Where at? You know where it's at. Go ahead, babe. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Go ahead, babe. No, 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 no. Didn't I tell you to put the phone down? Uh-oh, somebody's gonna have to pay for that. Da, 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 da. Hey, for everybody coming to the party. La, la, la. Yes, I am serving you. I am serving you. And you better be at that party tonight. Oh, yes.
So well wishes to him.
Yes, to my good side. Ha, ha, ha. Every side. Ha. Boom, boom. Yes. Ha. Boom, cat, towel. Ha. Boom, boom. Ha. Ha. No. Hey, don't be late to the party tonight.
Where at?
You know where it's at. Go ahead.
So y'all let me know how y'all feel about that whole situation. Was the guy a good friend for recording him? Did he purposely stay by his side? Like the video. We're just doing some hot topics, trending topics this morning.
Strange and troubling scene in Studio City in the San Fernando Valley. Entertainer Lil Nas X detained by police rushed. Developing news, a strange and troubling scene in Studio City in the San Fernando Valley. Entertainer Lil Nas X detained by police rushed to the hospital and now facing a criminal charge. Fox 11's Phil Schumann, he's here in studio with me with those details. Pretty wild.
Yeah, it began with a call to police very early this morning, ended with this Grammy-winning musician in handcuffs. The LAPD says it were called after this about reports of a man walking naked in the middle of Ventura Boulevard. Turned out it was 26-year-old rapper Lil Nas X, legal name Montero Lamar Hill.
He did have underwear on though, so I just want to make that clear. It was boots and underwear. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip. Now I don't know if something was withdrawn after that. I don't know, but
Video by TMZ, apparently shot by a passerby, shows him actually wearing underwear or some kind of shorts and cowboy boots, at one point putting a traffic cone on his head, obviously acting very erratically. But police say when they arrived, he charged at officers, and so he was taken into custody. They suspected a drug overdose. He was brought to a hospital, then released, and then booked a few hours later at the jail in Van Nuys. He's now facing a misdemeanor count of battery on a peace officer. As of tonight, no comment from his representatives. He's faced a health scare back in April when he experienced partial facial paralysis. He shared all that with his fans on Instagram. We're still waiting to hear more about all this. Tonight, TMZ's reporting he's still in custody, being held without bail, which normally doesn't make sense for a misdemeanor.
Right.
But at last check, yes, he is still in the Van Nuys jail.
Yeah, that just made me raise my eyebrows when he's still in custody without bail.
Well, it's partly could be because he's facing a charge of assault on a peace officer, so it's not as minor as another charge might be.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe mental health related.
Yeah, I mean, he's like been quite public about some of the drugs he's done and the extent to which he's done them, and so yeah, that's all.
Not what you expect to see when you're driving 4 a.m.
No, and then the first thing somebody does is let me take out my camera and then let me take out my phone and then call TMZ.
I mean, what I saw was about a minute and a half. Was there more?
No, that was most of it.
Yeah. That's a long time, minute and a half.
Yeah.
All right, Phil, thanks so much.
like the video, fair use reaction clip. What do y'all think about Lil Nas X being and walking around town? Like the video, fair use reaction clip. We're just going to talk hot topics, trending topics. Thanks for being here, everyone. Hot topics, trending topics. Like the video as you guys come in. I might go back to, let me go back to this situation in regards to Shador and what some are saying. Hold on, like the video as y'all come in. Like the video as you guys come in.
This is Eric Dickerson saying there is conspiracy afoot. All right, we got to play this. This is Eric Dickerson here. Eric Dickerson's had some strong opinions ever since I've known about Eric Dickerson, since I was a little kid.
How many people sent you this clip? For me, it was over 100.
Wow.
Plenty of people sent me this. This is Eric Dickerson saying there is conspiracy afoot that the NFL didn't want Shador Sanders getting drafted.
And I'll tell you this much here, what I heard from someone that's in the NFL, that the NFL told other, don't draft him, do not draft him. We're gonna make an example out of him. And this came from a very good source, And he said that, I won't say who, Somebody called the Cleveland Browns and said, "Don't do that. Draft him." Really? Yep, draft him. Don't do that. Because they weren't going to draft him either. They weren't going to draft him. They were forced into drafting him because somebody made a call to them. And I said, when I say this is a NFL side source for sure.
Eric's saying that they called the Browns and said to draft him.
Yes. Yeah, end the boycott or whatever. And go get him.
See, listen. I have respect for Eric Dickerson as a football player, and I don't think he's a bad guy. I don't believe that. If he would have said that the NFL called and said, "You better not draft this guy, don't do it," I would believe him, because the Browns have not gone the way the NFL wants them to go here over the last few years. I think that's pretty clear. When it came to the guaranteed contract and some of the other stuff, I think the Browns have kind of done their own thing, and it's upset a lot of people in the NFL. If they would have said, "You better not draft him or we're going to have a problem with you," I go, yeah, maybe that's really believable. Maybe that's really believable. I don't know what made him last to the 5th round, man. I have no idea. It is a weird-ass thing. And again, maybe we'll see. Maybe he'll go.
I told y'all there's going to be podcasters and YouTubers that's going to try and gloss it and make it seem like this is not what we saw. We saw what happened. We saw that he did not get drafted. And I don't think that he deserved that, period. This is not even my child. But as a culture, people should stick together, and this should have never happened. He should have been drafted, period, especially if it's very clear. If he was more talented than other players. Let's continue. Fair use reaction clip.
Out there at some point this year, and he's going to suck up the room, and then we'll find out. Okay, now we find out why he win the 5th round.
So
maybe we find out, but things just don't add up.
I laugh at these types of conspiracies. I'm like, there's 32 teams. These owners all want to literally do whatever it takes to get over on the other one. That's all they care about. Sure, they're friends when it comes to making money, but when it comes to, doing everything they can to put their team in position to get a steal, whether it's a draft pick, whether it's just whatever edge they could possibly get. I laugh at these conspiracy theories every single time until the Lamar Jackson thing happened, when he had a chance to become, I guess, a restricted free agent. And all these quarterback-starved teams, not one of them.
Like the video. Let me know if you guys think it's fair, unfair. Do you think that really was what happened? Calls were made not to draft him because of his interviews, or because he was a little too cocky, or they wanted to make an example of, whether it was him or whether it was Deion Sanders. Do you think that's fair? I don't think so. You should not be affecting a young man's career, period. You should not be.
Even made an offer to the guy that has won 2 MVPs, really could have been 3. Let's be honest, last year might have been his best year. Could have been 3 MVPs, and not one other team in the NFL. Like, this league does have a way to collude. This team does have a way. Now, would they collude? Here's where he loses me. Why would they pick Shador Sanders?
You know why.
First of all, likable kid. I don't care. If the people that don't pay attention don't think he's likable because they don't know anything about him. The people that called us about nepotism, and it's like, have you ever actually watched him deal with people in the community?
The most famous call we had was nepotism, and the guy wanted to take Arch Manning.
Yeah, I know. In the very next sentence.
He's thrown about 6 passes in his college career so far.
And there's one clip during a game that has been referenced of him being kind of crappy towards an opposing ball boy. Okay. I mean, do you want to show Baker Mayfield and how he acted towards people on a football field with utter disdain? Okay, so that one doesn't pass muster with me. Why Shador? Someone's got to explain to me why. You say, oh, he built a brand. Have you seen Caleb Williams? Have you seen Jaden Daniels? Like, all these guys not only transfer, they play at 3 different high schools, 3 or 4 different colleges. They all have NIL money now. They all have a brand. They all have a huge social media following. Welcome to the future of the NFL. So explain to me, whether it's Eric Dickerson, whoever, the conspiracy loses when you tell me it's a guy that ends up getting taken in the 5th round.
But you're saying
that's where you lose me.
But you think it's believable because of Lamar?
I think it's believable that in extreme situations where after the Deshaun Watson deal, all the owners said, hey, we are not the NBA. We are not going to be held hostage by the latest and greatest player for guaranteed contracts, and then in turn, every guy in the NFL, a league where one injury, see Nick Chubb, and your career might be over. Like, we are not doing guaranteed contracts. So we have to hold firm. So what happens after the Deshaun Watson? And now we know there was collusion. There absolutely was collusion when it came to Lamar Jackson. So I'm not going to say that's where they lose me.
Why
doesn't make any sense? In fact, he seems like an awesome guy to promote it through the NFL.
There's just no way.
Think of how many fans are now paying attention to the Browns preseason games. And then the minute he's on to the 4th on the depth chart, they might go away. But why would you not want that as part of your marketing wing? Where I know the NFL markets teams, they also go to marketing some of the individuals. And Shador would be one of those.
Crazy work.
Why him, though?
Why him? And see, he keeps asking that. Why him? Why did they pick him? Why did they choose him? Why did they choose to make an example of him? He's not answering it. I would love to see how people are going to spin this. I would love to see how people are going to spin this. And then let's see the next draft if they do somebody the same way. Let's see.
All the reasons you make is why a team would draft him, and why the NFL wouldn't be calling people to not draft him. So unless he's the devil in disguise and we have no idea about that, why on earth would the NFL do that? That's where I'm lost on it. You are absolutely right. The Lamar Jackson thing, listen, they're very powerful people. They will do anything they can to protect themselves.
I know people will roll their eyes, some people, half the people, but, you know, Colin Kaepernick could have easily been on rosters.
Oh, yeah.
But it was
10 years later when we still
not 10 years later, but he was definitely good enough. Maybe not to guarantee a starting spot.
Well, clearly.
He was definitely good enough to be on rosters, and the rest of the league said, no,
Clearly.
we don't really feel like dealing with this anymore.
Jeff in University Heights, you're first up on the fan.
Yeah, good morning, guys. This is very believable. The NFL is the most hypocritical sports league in America, for number one, and you just pointed out one of the facts about it with Lamar Jackson. You know, what do we hear all the time? It's all about winning. Winning's not everything, it's the only thing, blah, blah, blah. And yet you have a talent like Lamar Jackson, but all of a sudden it's not about winning, it's about politics. And there's no way in the world that you can convince me, even with my public school education that was supposedly substandard, which it wasn't. Even though I went to a public college, the Ohio State University, not a private school, even with that education, there's no way you can tell me that there were 143 players in this draft better than Shador Sanders. The NFL was sending a message to the Sanders family. I don't know if it's to Shador or Dion or both, but of course, I agree 100% with Eric.
Why? What was the message? I don't know. What is the message?
The message is that they felt, for whatever reason, that Shador and his dad had a sense of entitlement or arrogance, and so they wanted to show them that this is still our league and you're not going to come in here dictating things. So
are you talking about
why didn't they do it with Johnny Manziel?
Jeff, are you saying this because it is pretty clear now that the Sanders were very picky, choosy on who they were going to talk to, interview with, like they didn't like that activity?
Well, possibly, but Tony, didn't the Mannings do the same thing when Eli came out?
Hello? We heard about that too. Me and my friend talked about that. We heard about that. Me and my friend talked about that for a long time.
Doesn't like a self-assured, arrogant type of black man like Deion Sanders, and that's how they perceive his son to be. There is no, again...
You don't think the NFL loved Deion Sanders when he was playing and the marketing of him, the network's marketing?
Oh, yeah, because Deion made them a lot of money. Like the video, fair use reaction clip.
Him to no end. They didn't love that.
Remember, he went to Dallas at the sand. Jerry's maybe the most powerful of all the NFL owners. I know he sounds like a crazy person anymore, but he is like the most powerful. Like there's owners, and then there's like the inner circle, and Jerry's the head of the inner circle. And remember, that was at the time where they opened up all the marketing things. Like there was the official so and so of the Dallas Cowboys, and Deion was there. I mean, Jerry Jones made a lot of money with Deion Sanders.
Okay, Ken and Tony, just answer me one question. Were there 143 players in this?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so.
I agree with you.
What other explanation can you have then? This kid dropped all. Heck, he's better than the guy that the Browns drafted ahead. Eric Dickerson is right. It was a conspiracy to send a message to the Sanders fans.
I agree with you. See, Jeff. I agree with Jeff I agree with Jeff to a certain degree, and let me tell you why. Jeff, thank you for the call. I'm tired of letting the Mannings just run everything when it comes to the NFL draft. Is anybody else? Good God. So Shador Sanders has to go fifth round, but hey, Arch Manning. I mean, I'm saying, are teams not willing to give his grandfather a 1% stake at some point? We're just going to let the Mannings do everything they want?
And you know what? Like, Jeff, I did not want to dismiss the race card. I didn't want to dismiss the race card entirely because I do think for the longest period of time, I mean, the black quarterback was something that a lot of owners were uncomfortable with. I do think we got to admit there's been progress here. I mean, Anthony Richardson, where did he go in the draft? The guy can't play, but where did he go in the draft? Like, there are plenty of African-American quarterbacks that now teams are trusting.
But I think
they are absolutely trusting. And
like the video, fair use reaction clip. Let's continue with the news. Like the video as you guys come in. I don't know if that's the one I wanted to. Let's continue. We already talked about the Mendez. All right, so let's get into hot topics, trending topics about what's going on with this guy. Like the video as y'all come in. Like the video. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for being here, everyone. I appreciate everyone for being here. I started a little bit later this morning, so the numbers are not numbering, baby.
An incredible scene in the nation's capital this week when a crowd of residents drove away about a dozen ICE agents who were stationed at the Columbia Heights metro station. It is just one of the many scenes that show that Americans are not on board with Donald Trump's immigration crackdowns, which oftentimes are turning violent. That violence on display this morning in that same DC neighborhood when ICE agents surrounded a car, shattered the windows to arrest the two men inside.
Like the video, like the video.
Family separation. And again, I always want to qualify. We don't know the specifics of these stories when they happen until we're able to vet each and every one of them. But the New York Times published that data today, that the vast majority of the increase in the deportations modeled after the 1954 Dwight D. Eisenhower program with that racist name, it deported 1 million Mexicans and some Mexican Americans. So Americans as well were deported. That's the model for the program. They're ripping families apart. It's not family separation at the border. It's family separation in the interior, and it's playing out every single day all across the country. This is what they promised. This is what they're doing. But what I don't think they anticipated is that it's not, these are not just activists that are standing out there with phones. Everyday Americans are seeing this happen every single day, and they're outraged by it, and I think that will only continue to grow.
Okay, how do they not anticipate that, Andrea Flores? Because you and I both recall during Trump separation, family separation 1.0, it was suburban moms. Some of them avowedly apolitical who said, I cannot believe this is happening in my country. In that child, I see my own child. Moms don't want to see ICE agents showing up at schools, at churches. There used to be sensitive areas where they were not allowed. The fact that they now feel emboldened, feel as though they can show up in places where they're not just traumatizing the person they are taken into custody and their loved ones, they are traumatizing entire communities.
I think a lot of people, public leaders especially, misread the 2024 election. And there is this argument that immigration writ large was unpopular. And so you saw a lot of analysts say, well, people want mass deportations. The majority of people want mass deportations. But I think a lot of public leaders really dropped the ball because this is what they mean. It means you need to go into every community. You need to go into schools. You need to go into healthcare facilities. You need to go in places of worship. That is what mass deportations have always meant. People said, well, President Biden lost the election in part due to the border and immigration. You are missing a huge piece of what immigration means in the United States, which is all of these essential community members going about their lives and being violently arrested on the job, at school, at church. It's really disturbing, and it's important now that leaders step up and explain what's happening.
I think it is so telling, Cornell, that they feel so emboldened, that they know they need to operate so quickly. And the fact that Americans are seeing these images, seeing these videos, and they're paying attention. There was new polling this week. It shows just 43% of Americans approve of Trump's immigration policies. I wonder, in your own focus groups, in your own polling, if you can identify the nuance of what it is that folks are seeing that is not sitting the right way with them.
Well, look, I think these numbers are a big deal because let's level set for our viewers here. Trump and Republicans overall have had huge advantages on immigration. It has been a winning issue for them, and I've seen polling numbers where now it's even more underwater. His job on immigration is even more underwater than that, and we've seen in polling where Trump's attacks on immigration has actually made more Americans positive about immigration and immigrants than we've seen in quite some time. So it seems to be backfiring at a broader level. But I will tell you, I was behind folks through glass 2 days ago with some Trump supporters from the last election, and I would like to say that they have remorse, but they don't. Right? They have no problem with what he's doing around immigration, around tariffs, around any of this stuff, and to a certain extent, they think he's keeping his promises. He made these promises about mass deportation. He made these promises about tariffs, and they believe he's keeping his promises. Now, the question is, and I do think this is a base play, because Republicans are much better at feeding their base and keeping their base energized than I think Democrats are. And this does not seem to be, moving or turning off Trump's core base that much. But I do think when you're looking at the midterms, I do think the moderate swath of middle Americans see these images, and I hope they're saying, this is not what we signed up for. This is not who we are.
Well, I mean, there's where the rubber hits the road, Jacob, with voters, and then there's where it hits the road with the actual municipal leaders, county leaders who have to implement these policies. You have New York City Mayor Eric Adams this week asking the Trump administration to stop these arrests in the New York immigration courts, which you've been reporting from.
So Eric Adams is this weird, strange bedfellow of President Trump because of his own legal problems, but even he cannot afford to avoid any longer the family separations that are happening on a daily basis here in Lower Manhattan. The images, you know, and I would recommend we should go together. I mean, Nicole, I know, wants to go as well. Everyone should go down there, just like we did for the Trump trial, to see what it looks like as these families are being ripped apart from one another, as mass agents are standing in the hallways, literally taking people out. They're trying to do the right thing by showing up to their immigration hearings. Many of them have ongoing asylum cases. Many of them are being told to come back by a judge for future hearings, whether it's in a month or 2 months or a year or 2 years. And these agents are ripping them out of the hallways and putting them into a secretive room on one of the floors in the detention centers and then being immediately deported. Karen Bass had said something, the mayor of Los Angeles, as those raids started in LA at the beginning of the summer. This is a petri dish, I'm paraphrasing, but this is basically coming to a city near you. And Eric Adams has made the choice now to speak out against the Trump administration and what they're doing here in the courthouses in Lower Manhattan. I promise you, it's not just going to be in Miami and in Los Angeles and in Washington, D.C. With $175 billion or whatever the number is that they got at ICE, this is coming to communities all across America with Democratic and Republican mayors. And just like there's no Democratic and Republican way to take out the trash, as LaGuardia famously said about what goes on in New York, there is not a particular Democratic or Republican way to deal with your own citizens, even if they're undocumented, being ripped out of your communities and destroying the way of life all across the United States of America. Everyone is going to be faced with this on all levels of government.
Like the video, fair use. Reaction clip. Like the video as you guys come in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. Like the video as you guys come in. Don't forget to subscribe as well.
In the area. The president thanked the officers and praised the work they are doing amid the government's federal takeover of the nation's capital. Trump also suggested that he would expand that effort to other cities.
Well, I just want to thank everybody very much for being here. I wanted to do this. We've had some incredible results. The results have come out, and it's like a different place. It's like a different city. It's the capital. It's going to be the best in the world. To me, I feel very safe now, and I'm hearing people are very safe, but I know within 2 weeks it's going to be, bam, it's going to be at a level that's even far superior. We're not playing games. We're going to make it safe. And we're going to then go on to other places, but we're going to stay here for a while. We want to make this absolutely perfect. It's our capital.
The president's visit comes just 1 day after Vice President J.D. Vance made a similar stop to thank officers. He encountered some hecklers. Both Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller also attended yesterday's meet and greet with the president. Joining us now, Democratic Senator Amy Klobuchar of Minnesota. She serves on the Judiciary and Rules Committees. Thank you, Senator, for being here. So let's start there with the president. The show of force yesterday in the nation's capital. He does have, because it is the nation's capital, he has more leeway there, more authority than he would in other cities if he does try to expand the effort. What is your sense there as to the impact it's having on Washington, D.C., a city, of course, you know well, but what might happen if he tries to take it elsewhere?
You look at what the role of the National Guard is. It has international purposes in wartime, but it also has domestic purposes, and that tends to be, in states like mine, helping out with fires, helping out with floods, and helping out when there's major events like, say, the inauguration or the insurrection at the Capitol. This is not a long-term strategy at all, and I think from my perspective, if he wants to help Washington, D.C., then why did the Republicans cut $1 billion from the funding that would have gone to their law enforcement? If he wants to do something about this, why is he just talking about putting, as he did yesterday, grass in their parks to make it look like his golf courses? I believe that's what he said. And to me, that's just the ultimate in shock and awe. I have long led the cops reauthorization bill. Claire's familiar with this, to help local communities with funding. My answer is help fund the police and the local control of the police and not use the military in this way.
So, Amy, one of the things he said yesterday, which I know is a quote you're going to use over and over again, is grass has a life. This is how serious this guy is. By the way, it's great to see you. Let's talk a little bit from a prosecutor's perspective about what's going on in Washington. I'm trying to look at the data, which is very, as you know, they manipulate data like other people get dressed in the morning. And they are going to try to manipulate this data to make it look like this has had a huge impact. When I look at what they've put out, I see the vast majority of the arrests have been immigration or a category called other. And you and I both know what other is. Other is low-level petty crimes that typically get clogged up in a system, frankly, especially in Washington, where they don't have enough prosecutors and they don't have enough judges because of what the Republicans have done with their funding. I noticed that out of 300 and almost 400 arrests, 2 of them were for homicide. So talk a little bit about the pulling of resources from DEA and from the FBI to do these low-level car stops and to do these photo ops, and what impact that has on actual serious crime in the district when those resources are busy putting on a show for Trump, as opposed to investigating the drug cartels that in this country are largely responsible for most of the violence in urban areas.
Yeah, exactly. And so, to me, what you need to do is make sure that you have funded law enforcement, and DC has always suffered from this because it is controlled, its funding, by Congress. And so what we should be doing here is helping them on that front while not taking away the resources that we need to do these major investigations, as you note, of drug cartels, of gun trafficking, of what we see in terms of the fentanyl epidemic, meth, which has come back, roaring back. All of these things is a purpose, not to mention white-collar crime, of federal law enforcement. So what I'm really worried about, as you look at this in the long term, so he can have this press conference and talk about the turf on the in the parks in Washington, D.C., is that you're going to erode long-term the really hard work that needs to be done on these major cases, including ones I've seen out of my state, both on the criminal drug side, but also on the white-collar side. If you're not able to do those, we have a further breakdown in the law and more graft.
Senator, one of the things we know is that what the president said yesterday about people are going out to dinner again, they're going out all the time, it's simply not true. The opposite is true. Every restaurant is reporting reservations way down, so that person, I think is probably apocryphal, who he described who went out 4 times in a row is because that person could get a reservation anywhere they wanted because nobody else is going out. Do you have a sense, a guess of how long this will go on, and because that will have to do with what sort of long-term impact it has on nightlife and crime and quality of life in the district.
Well, 2 things here. One, Congress does have a say over this under federal law when we return, because there's a limit on how long he can do this on his own. But secondly, I'm so glad you brought this up, because when I was hearing him say, I've gotten so many calls about a guy that could get reservations for 4 days, maybe he should be out at the Minnesota State Fair, like I was yesterday, where I stand in my booth, and I'm telling you, no one's coming up about...
Thanks for being here, everyone. I appreciate everyone for being here. The numbers are numbering, so it may be because I started late today, but that's okay. So copyright disclaimer, under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is used permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged, in our opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Everyone, focus on healthy, safe relationships. Be around people that's loving, kind, and respectful. Have a great day, everyone. Goodbye.